Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CashFly.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by IT Pro TV, the fun and entertaining way to sharpen your IT skills. Visit itpro.tv/knowhow and use the code KNOWHOW30 to get a free 7-day trial and 30% off the monthly membership for the lifetime of your active subscription.
Today on Know-How.
I'm getting my iPhone back.
Apparently, I'm getting my Android phone back, too.
Maybe.
Welcome to Know-How. It's a Twitch show where we build, bend, break, and upgrade. I am Father Robert Balliser.
I am Megan Maroney.
And I am Megan Maroney.
Oh, whoa, no. We're switching back.
Which one's the real one, huh?
I don't know, because I've been installing things through APKs all night.
Don't you mean
snap.
side loading?
Yes, side loading. That's what I meant.
Oh, folks, if you're wondering what's going on right now, of course, Megan and Jason have had a 6-week experiment. Can I call it an experiment? Or is it a trial?
I think it's more of a hero's journey, is what I like to call it.
Oh, I like that. They've had a hero's journey to try each other's platforms. Jason's been going all iOS. Megan's been going all Android. And that's why she is all elite now with the developer speak.
Yeah, in fact, just the other day, you checked the unknown sources dialog box in settings.
I live
That
on the edge.
is elite.
Yeah.
Now, do you have the developer settings? Did you open up that menu in your settings? Because that's advanced.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's totally
We'll work
intuitive,
on that
though.
next year when we do
Okay,
this again
next
for
year.
like 3 months.
For 8 months.
All you have
Yeah.
to do is go down to the About phone and basically just keep tapping it until it
Okay.
pops up. You know, it's
like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
It is kind of a nerdy thing. No, but of course, last week, the two of you talked a little bit about the ease of transitioning from one ecosystem to another. We went through a couple of applications, a couple of processes that people should be aware of, maybe a couple of bumps in the road that they will hit. This week, you're going to share your experience of the 6 weeks because it's not just switching. It's also living with the new ecosystem. For an iOS person, it means going to an Android ecosystem that's a bit more wild. And for an Android person, it means going to an ecosystem that's definitely more controlled than Android. So who wants to kick us off?
I think I'll start.
do
We'll start
this.
on the wild side.
Let's go on the wild side. Okay.
So some of the things that I really liked were, of course, the AR stickers. I talked about that. I just tweeted some out. They were fun, but they were more of just a novelty. What I really liked and what was really useful was the squeeze to assistant, which I guess is just on the Pixel.
Just
so
on the Pixel,
all
too.
Android users don't get this. But if you just squeeze, let me get rid of this. So you just squeeze and here comes your assistant. Who is Jason Howell?
There's some guy.
Oh, wait.
I figured, okay,
If
now
you
we
want that answer, you're going to have to show
give me
me
a
your
code.
credentials.
So that's nice because I don't have to press anything. I don't have to say, "Hey, anyone," and I can just talk. And the assistant is better than Siri, but not as much better as I'd hoped. Like when you see the commercials, it seems like you're actually having a conversation. Like your Google becomes your friend.
Wait, I want to parse that, though. So when you say that you think the Google Assistant is better than Siri, in what ways? I mean, is it just more accurate in its responses? Is it more responsive in, actually, responding to your voice?
Depth of knowledge.
Well, what is it?
Well, first of all, it has more of a depth of knowledge of me.
That's true.
Personally,
Yeah, that's
because
really good.
it can go into my email. Like it knows so much about me. Like there's so much information. Google has so much information about me up in the cloud, and it uses that where Siri doesn't, which is nice from a privacy perspective, but not so nice from an efficiency perspective.
But that makes sense, right? Because, Google has access to far more data about you than Apple would.
Yeah, and you really have to be okay with that.
With
Like
that.
in order to get the maximum value out of something like Assistant, you have to have already just kind of given up on the fact that if you have qualms about sharing your data or whatever, you're not going to enjoy Assistant as much as if you just let go.
And that's the thing. I mean, you can, if you're paranoid, you can turn off all those features so that it's not reading your email, it's not looking at your calendar, it's not looking at your location, but then it becomes a lot less useful.
I regularly use Google Calendar instead of the Apple Calendar, and so it has access to that, which is nice. And Siri has gotten better in terms of knowledge, general knowledge, and the way you can ask questions. We did, Jason and I did a little back and forth, so you can watch that on the screensavers to see which one is better at just answering general questions. But a lot of people forget that about Siri because the first 30 times you tried to use it, it didn't work. And so I was on vacation in LA with two of my girlfriends who both have iPhones, and there were so many times things come up that you just need to know the answer to. Who is the person in that movie? Like what's the weather tomorrow? Those kinds of things. And they never thought to use Siri, and they were amazed at Google Assistant, but probably Siri would have done similar things for them. They've just given up.
Yeah, that's the challenge with anything. Like I find that with mobile payments, I find that with assistants, that early impression, and Siri's been around for a long time, so it's had a long time to kind of, draw that line in the sand and form itself around, form people's opinions about it. But if you have a number of experiences with it where you don't get what you expect to get out of it, I mean, that's going to paint your future experience, your knee-jerk reaction of using it or not. If you've already decided, well, it's probably not going to give me what I need, then you stop thinking about it. I know I did. And I really tried to use it. I'll talk about Siri in a little bit, but I definitely experienced the opposite of what you're talking about.
How crazy is that? I mean, you go back 15 years before we really started having accurate voice assistants, and we were okay with having to repeat ourselves multiple times. And the fact that a product could learn from its mistakes was amazing. Now it's like, I don't want it to learn from its mistakes. I just want it to be perfect out of the box.
Right, exactly. And there's things also, I use Google Photos, so I can ask things like, find pictures of my dad.
Thinking.
Oh, there we go. See, it's very secure.
Here's what I found in your
Oh,
Google Photos.
that's my husband, but
Here's some guy that you know.
so there's a picture of my dad. It found one, but mostly pictures of what it thought was a dad, which was my husband, who was a dad of my children. So yeah, like I can, things like that didn't necessarily work, but I think find pictures of my daughter. I think this will work. Let's see.
Let's check your Google Photos.
Yeah, these are all pictures of my daughter, which can be creepy that it knows those, but I don't think I've even designated her as my daughter. She just looks like a daughter. Of course, then this photo is of me as a child, so that's not, it's probably just using artificial intelligence, but at least it's trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, Google Photos has become probably my favorite app in the
Yeah, it's
Google
one of my favorites
ecosystem
for sure.
because it's everything. It's all my media. It's very easily accessible. And if you do a couple of things to help it along, like tagging the people who are close to you, it is phenomenal. I mean, it actually would be able to find your dad because you had said this person is so-and-so and relationship is father.
Right.
But even if you don't do that, it's really good at finding things like, show me all the times I've been at the beach. And you get 1,000 pictures of you at the
Right.
beach. It's
Beach
amazing.
or
Christmas,
dog or
yeah.
trees or whatever. And the more you do that and you realize it actually is giving you what you were looking for and making that process easier, especially when you consider how many hundreds of thousands of photos we have stored there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of magical. It's one of my favorite apps too.
Yeah, I think it's done that. Let me see if I've named my dog. Find me pictures of Gilbert. It's thinking.
Here's what I found.
Yeah.
there you
There's
go. So wait,
all the
hold on,
pictures.
wait.
That's
You
Gilbert
tagged,
Gottfried.
you
No, it's
tagged
not.
your dog, but you didn't tag your dad.
No, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But yeah, because I have a lot of pictures of like Jason's dog, other dogs. Like if just find pictures of dogs, it might show others. Let's see.
I found this in your Google
Well,
Photos.
mostly
You're
I
gonna
have
have a lot of
pictures,
pictures of your own dog, of
yeah,
course.
Yeah.
But
But
there were other ones in there.
no, I think that so yeah, it's pretty good. And the other thing that the Pixel does is you can take as many photos as you want in the best resolution, and it'll save them in Google Photos until 2020, though, right? I think there's a cutoff date. I read somewhere that
now they do have a cutoff date for that.
So videos, high resolution videos and photos, I've been taking a ton of those because like when I switch away, then I'll go back to the regular, but those photos that I took with this phone will be in my Google Photos at the best resolution.
My family has a kind of a nerdy hack for Google Photos. So you can do multi-accounts on Android devices, and we're all Android now. And so we actually have a family account for photos. So when we're on vacation, or when any of us are on vacation, photos automatically get synced to that album, which means anyone else in the family can actually search through them. And it was kind of nerdy at first, but it's become kind of fun because I can see what my family is doing and they can see what I'm doing. Now, there's definitely privacy concerns because that sync happens automatically, but if you play with it a little bit, it goes from being an incredibly fun tool to being a ridiculously powerful tool.
Well, and they've rolled out features relatively recently that make it so that you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
so
no,
you can just have
share
shared albums and everybody contributing to them. It's shared with everybody else. I do the same thing with my wife. We have like a single Photos account, and any pictures that either of us take, is let's face it, 95.9% of all of our photos are our family, and we want them all in one place. We don't want to have to manage it. So
that
it just all
needs to
goes
be
into
a parental control. You can turn that on your child's phone, and it cannot be turned off.
Yeah.
It automatically syncs their photos to you.
Right.
Okay, that's a little creepy, but still a good tool.
I have definitely used the automatic upload on Google Photos to not spy on my kids, but maybe find things out that we needed to have conversations
To
about.
parent your kids. You're parenting.
Yes.
Parents do not spy on their children. They are good parents.
No. The other thing that I really liked about using Android that doesn't exist on iOS is Android Auto. Now, this was one of the things I liked the most about last year, too. And I'd actually forgotten about Android Auto. And it's not something that's automatically installed. You have to remember. And what it does is, I think, let's see. Let me just try my assistant. Open Android Auto. So here's what it looks like. And once I installed the app and set it to work whenever my phone connected automatically to the Bluetooth in my car, it just turns on. And then there's this big screen here, so I can play my podcasts. John Ronson's Butterfly Effect, highly recommend it. I can see how long it takes to get home, how long it takes to get to work. I can see the weather. If I wanted to change my podcasts, which sometimes I do at stoplights, all I have to do is press this big button, and then I have this list of starred podcasts, and I can look through these and just choose them. And if you do too much of that, it'll actually warn you and say paused for safety. So this is similar to Do Not Disturb while driving, which Apple didn't have last year when we switched, but now they have, and it automatically turns on. I actually prefer the Do Not Disturb while driving because it really makes you say, I'm not driving. Like you have to lie to your iPhone in order to use it. I have a problem. I admit it. Like there's some things, it's the way my brain works. Like if I see a text message, I think, it's the most important thing. It's more important than my life. I don't do it when I'm driving, but sometimes at stoplights, trying to break the habit. But what Android Auto did, which was weird, is it actually alerts you when you have text message. It alerted me in my Prius heads up display, which wasn't necessary. Like I don't need to know that I have a text message. I'm sure you could probably turn that off, but I do like this. If you have a bad habit of using your phone while you're driving, you can get directions, you can make a phone call, all the important things that you need to do. And you can adjust these too. And the music settings, it's not just podcasts, but you can, it automatically knows the podcast app that I listen to, but you can also listen to Google Play Music or Spotify. Weirdly, it wouldn't let me add Apple Music to this.
Oh, that's strange.
Oh, wow.
But I have been
Kind of
still.
strange, actually, to be honest, because I think you can add more than
should
just
be,
the
right.
three.
Probably,
It detects what apps you
You're
have
using.
installed that are compatible and then surfaces
Interesting.
those. But
I
I don't
ha-
know why Apple Music would.
Yeah, because I have been using Apple Music on the Android phone. It works great. The interface is great. There's no, it's probably the interface is probably even a little better.
I mean, and that actually could be more on Apple not supporting whatever feature
Right.
it is that dumps that
True.
into Android Auto.
True.
It's funny because I used to use Auto, but the problem I had was I have kind of I drive a crap car. It's a crap car, so it's really noisy in the cabin, and I was always yelling at the thing trying to make it do the right thing. But then I got that ROAV, the Viva. It's the Amazon Voice Assistant
right.
attachment, and it has noise canceling mic, so it's really good at clearing up the audio. And now that's my device because it's really good. I can say, a word, go ahead and play my podcast list. And I can say next episode. All the things you would do with an Amazon voice assistant, I can do it in my car. That's kind of taken the place of auto. But yeah, I get that. For people whose cars aren't horrible, you probably could get away with that.
And Virgil in the chat room asks, why not have the phone read the text message to you as you drive? I could totally do that. It's a psychological thing. Like, I don't actually think I need to hear it's just that when the text comes in, you think you have to look at it. But you don't.
I have never found a text-to-speech application that I liked because either it's reading too slow or it's reading too fast. So,
well, one of my frustrations in that regard is that when you know, as far as text-to-speech is concerned for Assistant, I feel like they've done a really great job of dialing, giving you an option, a nice, number of options for voices. The synthesis sounds really good. It's natural and everything. But then in other random parts of the OS, like if you're navigating in Maps, it comes on with that like the last generation one for some reason. If you go into some random weird app, you get the original one that sounds like they've got emphysema, and so you never really know which text-to-speech engine you're going to get. If they were all mirroring what you get out of Assistant, I think we'd have less complaints about that.
And here's another thing. Auto is a Google app, which means it's probably going to be abandoned within the next 6 months or replaced by a different...
Not jaded.
Oh, come on. They just did it with payments. What's the new one? Pay Me Now, Google app, Android.
Google Pay Now. Or Google Pay Send. That's
See,
right.
You can't even remember it. It's like they throw darts and they say, "Yeah, we're going to kill that app." So it's one of these things where I would normally expect an app to just keep getting better and better and better, but I've gotten so jaded with the Google ecosystem because they kill apps with regularity and start a brand new app without ever telling their users. And that doesn't really happen on the iOS side. Apple doesn't. It's not in the habit of just abandoning apps.
Well, okay, the final thing that I want to talk about is a new app that I got to sideload using an APK.
Whoa! Who are you?
I should say that Jason held my hand through this whole process, and I was like, "Is it okay if I press that? Are you sure? Are you sure?" Because in the Apple ecosystem, you can't. I mean, you can do that. You can jailbreak. I never have. I probably never will.
Yeah, don't do it.
But I think it's a little bit safer. And Jason, it was a mirror. I wanted to download this app that's in beta, and there was a mirror site, and it was linked from the. It was APK Mirror. It was linked from The Verge. Jason said it was okay, so
it's owned and operated by the folks that have that run Android Police.
Okay, so it was safe. So this is the Reply app, and it's a new Google app, but it's still in beta. They're still testing it out. But it offers those smart replies that you see in Gmail or in Inbox for Google that, someone asks you a question like, are you busy tonight? And you can automatically say yes or no, or, do you, are you too tired to go out? Yes or no. And so this one actually syncs, we just discovered, with your calendar so that you can ask someone, are you busy at 4:00 on Friday? And if your calendar says you have an appointment, it will automatically give you the response yes. So you don't even have to think about it. This works through your notifications. Is that what you call it? Your this slide down. What do you call this?
Notification.
Okay.
Notification shade.
So here, I really liked this part about Android that you can it's like a little to-do list. This is what Jason uses as his to-do list.
Yeah, very
so I see that Jason sent me a HipChat that said, it's my birthday. It doesn't work through HipChat yet, but I can automatically, I guess I have to go through and reply to those. Okay, so here's, Alex just sent me a message. Can I go home? I guess it's not smart enough to know that Alex is currently our technical director. So I'll just say yes, because who cares?
All right, I'm leaving it. You're on your own.
All right.
This shot for the rest of the show.
Paul, can you get behind the desk? Yes. I appreciate that.
So he said, are you busy at 4 p.m. on Friday? And apparently my calendar this time said I'm not busy at 4 p.m. on Friday. So I just say no.
Oh, and so it integrates the smart replies into the notifications.
Into the notifications tab.
Nice.
So it works that he sent through a Twitter direct message.
Now, how many different apps can it reply to? So SMS, Twitter, WhatsApp?
It's apparently can also go through Slack now.
Oh, okay, not bad.
And of course, Inbox 0, but it can't go through Instagram. So that's an Instagram comment, not an Instagram direct message. So I don't know if someone had sent me an Instagram direct message that they would, I would see that there. But yeah, so are you sending me you guys sending me some more text messages?
I'm going to send you some more.
Okay. So it's been, it with Burke and I tried it earlier. Can we walk tomorrow? Can we talk tomorrow at 6 p.m.?
So it looked at your calendar, it realized you don't have anything at 6 p.m. I'm wondering if you hit sure, will it change your calendar?
Oh, that's a good question.
That would be kind of awesome.
Okay, so, come back on. Suddenly didn't recognize my...
Pixel, hey.
Okay. Let me enter my password.
I think we may have overloaded it.
Too much messaging. You're too popular at this point.
So, boop, boop, boop. Very secret password. No one saw it. Okay, here's my notifications. Okay, lots of notifications here. Okay, so if I don't want to talk to him, I just open it up and then it goes and I can just say no. Which isn't very nice, but do I smell gravy? Alex asked. And it didn't, I guess, I swiped them away.
That message was wasted.
Oh, you know
sorry.
what? I just realized because you were checking notifications with the lock screen on. With the lock screen on. So if you've got it with the lock screen on, it's not going to have access to the internal data.
Oh.
Maybe that's why it said you weren't busy at 4 p.m.
Yeah. Maybe that is. Yeah. Interesting.
That's kind of... That's a problem.
Well,
is invaded.
it depends on how you have your lock screen set up. You can choose to have it set up secure so that it keeps it siphoned off from that stuff, or you can have it allow it, free reign to all that information.
That's still kind of cool. I mean, it is
kind of
beta,
Android in a nutshell.
It is in beta, yeah. But I like this idea. I don't imagine they will be bringing it to iOS anytime soon.
not.
So I'll just have to wait till see how it matures for the next 7 weeks. Which next?
Oh dear.
Okay, well, we're going to get to Jason in just a bit because he's got to give us his iOS take. But hold all these things deep in your heart because in a couple of minutes we're going to ask you for your summary of your 6 weeks of of Android bliss.
Okay.
Right? Bliss is the proper word. Bliss.
No.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to that in just a bit, but first let's go ahead and take a moment to thank the sponsor of this episode of Know How. Now, Jason, Megan, I get asked all the time because I do the enterprise show, how do I get into IT? It's a weird kind of career choice because back in my day, you just did it. And then you got the experience so that you could get more jobs and better jobs and bigger contracts. But today, people don't really have that. There is no apprenticeship. There is no way for you just to jump in and start working in IT unless you have a little bit of background, a little bit of education, a little bit of foundational knowledge. So it's nice to have a vendor who can give you all that knowledge, who can give you classes, who can give you an online schedule that follows what you need to do with your life. And that's why we're so happy to have IT Pro TV as a sponsor of Know How. Now, IT Pro TV sharpens your IT skills and empowers your teams. Now, IT Pro TV offers over 3,300 hours of binge-worthy on-demand training with more than 125 hours added each week. You can stream IT Pro TV's courses live and on-demand via Chromecast, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, PC, and by using their iOS or Android apps. Basically, any way that you want to consume the content, you can with IT Pro TV. IT Pro TV does IT live every day, so you know that you're getting the most current IT training. Their courses include CEH version 9, CISA SQL Server 2016, Azure 7533, CCNA Security, CompTIA Plus, and more. You could track your team's results if you're a team leader and prove the ROI of your training spend with IT Pro TV's Supervisor Portal. This I'm actually very excited about because it allows you as a team leader to force your people, to encourage them to refresh their IT knowledge so that they're not out of date. You gain full control of your team's training schedule. You can create custom groups and training assignments. You can view logins, viewing time, video downloads, and course completion tracking. You can even see individual and group analytics, and they've got a special team solution for group pricing. We've got a story from James Parker. He is a member of our audience who used IT Pro TV to train himself and his team. Well, he got recruited to his dream job in a literal tropical paradise, and That's not an uncommon story with IT Pro TV. Because they're such a good reference, because they have such a breadth and depth of knowledge, because they work on your schedule, it means that you can get the IT career that you've always wanted. Now, if you're interested in learning more about IT Pro TV's team solution, contact them for a team-free trial, including their supervisor portal at itpro.tv/knowhow. Or sign up for an individual monthly membership and a free 7-day trial at itpro.tv/knowhow and use the code KNOWHOW30. You'll receive 30% off your subscription for the lifetime of your active subscription. Join the more than 90,000 IT Pro TV members today. Premium subscriptions, which include unlimited transcender practice exams and virtual labs, are normally $857 a year, but you only pay $600 when you go to itpro.tv/knowhow. That's itpro.tv/knowhow and use the code KNOWHOW30. Flexible training, binge-worthy content, ROI proven. And we thank IT Pro TV for their support of Know-How. Okay, Jason. So Megan's told us the things she likes about Android for her 6-week trial, and you're going to give us a little bit of your iOS experience.
Yeah, kind of diving in. I think my focus here, anyways, because we are going to be talking about this later also on Tech News Weekly. So we've got little summaries here, on both shows. So hopefully I'm going to try and give a little bit of extra stuff here and a little bit of extra stuff there. So I thought here I'd focus a little bit more on kind of the app experience that I've noticed.
Good.
Breaking it down into 3 basic groups. Starting with apps that I particularly like. Now, these aren't necessarily just Apple's apps, because I'll be completely honest, like I'm very used to switching phones, but they're usually Android phones. So the same apps get installed on the same phones. It's just part of my habit. It's part of my routine. So the same thing happens with iOS, right? Like you switch to a new platform. It used to be the case that one platform had a strong, iOS in particular, had a very strong app ecosystem. It still does. But it used to be the case that a lot of app, crossovers weren't available, or they were better on iOS and really not that great on Android. I feel like there's a lot more parity now. If you've got those apps that are must-haves for you, you're probably going to find them on both platforms. Outside of that, though, Apple has their own apps that are installed on here that you can only get on an iOS device. And a couple of them in particular, Megan, I know you are big into the quantified self stuff. And we've kind of had differing views on that, where I feel overwhelmed by that stuff. And for me personally, like, what am I going to do with that information? But I've been using the Apple Watch, the Series 3 Apple Watch, which I have here, and I've really loved using this watch. Like, as far as the watch.
I'm sorry, Jessica, could you say that again?
I love the Apple Watch. It's a great watch.
Okay.
For what it is, it's awesome. Like they've really done a good job with the details, from a fitness standpoint, from a fit and finish standpoint. The design of it's comfortable. I'm kind of sad that I have to let go of the Apple Watch because it doesn't work on Android, and I don't find watches on the Android side that I have enjoyed as much as I've enjoyed the Apple Watch.
But that works both ways, because Megan has told me that she's really going to miss her Android watch. She loves having a watch that's as big as her face.
Yes, right.
So have you been filling the rings? Have you been watching that?
So the reason I went with the watch was because of activity and health apps. I've been wearing the watch, and as I've been going to the gym and all that kind of stuff. And it took me a while to really kind of understand the rings. This is today, I believe, which it's still a morning time. But it is really nice to be able to open at a glance and kind of understand. I think this is like low activity movement, right? The red ring is, the green ring is like higher activity intensity, and then this is just standing right on your feet.
Oh, okay.
The up arrow is standing on your feet. If I go back in time, you have
what happened on that day?
I forgot to put the watch on that day. That's what happened on Tuesday.
Whoa!
But there you go. Thursday. What's weird is Thursday was a really big day for me. I started at a new gym. I had an hour of super high intensity workout, which you can see right down here. But I'm like, why didn't? Well, I guess my fast.
I like that your activity is basically eating itself.
Okay,
yes, exactly.
Back around.
Let me explain what these are. Okay. The red one is for your heart rate and like your just activity based on just your heart rate and your steps, your heart rate and your movement. And the green is if you start a workout. So you press the workout.
Now, I never pressed to
never
start a workout.
Okay.
But it did detect, like it went around one full time and then more, which, I mean, makes sense. I was wearing the Apple Watch when I did that hour of workout. So it makes sense that it would be eating its tail.
Okay, so all right, that's.
I just like the colors.
You're right. Some days when I don't start, I thought I knew this. That's confusing. Then I think you
Tuesday.
are more.
What am I doing? What am I doing on
What's going
Tuesday?
on?
I think that's the dog park.
Oh,
Because I go to the dog park pretty much every day.
Did you put the watch on your dog?
Yes, I cheated it a little bit. I put this on my dog to see what would happen. No.
So maybe the red is just movement, and
Yeah.
then the green is your heart rate and plus.
Yeah, I remember the
movement.
green being like a higher intensity,
Yeah.
like a sort of synced thing. But
Yeah.
anyways, having this data was, I don't know, I just kind of got into it a little bit more this time than I did the last time that we switched. And then, of course, health is more of like a full accumulation of a lot of different stats. I don't know if I necessarily go in here and go, tomorrow I'm going to make sure that my active energy is more than 231. Like,
Yeah.
but it's interesting to be able to look at it and go,
It's cool data,
you know,
but
it's
that
nice that
other
it's there.
one, it really ties into the gamification thing. You kind of
Yeah.
want to make the complete ring, right? I mean,
Right.
especially if you're right there, it's like, okay, I'll take another walk around the block.
Yeah. So anyways, so the quantified self stuff, I feel like the watch does a really great job. And even if you don't use the watch, you still are accumulating based on having the phone in your pocket. Some of those features do obviously exist on Android, but I really like how thorough and how detailed Apple's been on that information. Another app of Apple's that I hated for the first 3 or 4 weeks until someone pointed out a new feature to me is the clock app, because I was using the alarm and it's just a really basic alarm clock. I like a gentle rise in the morning. I don't like my alarm clock to suddenly come jumping out of the gate, with like full blast and I can't find the snooze or whatever. But then somebody pointed out this bedtime feature that I've totally fallen in love with. And I mean, it sounds very simple. Basically, you're setting a wake time, but you're also setting a bedtime. So it gives you a little bit of a forewarning about half an hour before it's time for you to get ready for bed. It gives you a notification and says, hey, in a half an hour, you need to go to bed because your target is 7 hours of sleep a night. If you want 7 hours of sleep a night, it does the math for you. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a nudge and says, hey, you might want to think about kind of winding down your day right now, because in a half an hour, if you want that 7 hours, you're going to need to go to bed. And I found that it was actually really effective. Like, I'd get that notification and it would be on my mind. I'd be like, why am I staying up? I should get the 7 hours. I'll go to sleep. So
We don't have an
I like
equivalent
that.
in Android, do we?
I don't know. I mean,
that's
maybe
actually
there is a
really
third party.
cool
I'm
feature. I
sure
like
there
that.
is an app, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Apple way. It's like you've become a sheep. It's time to go to bed now, Jason.
You will fall
It's
in line.
time to
It's
go
time
to
for you to
sleep.
stand.
Actually, the next version of the Apple Watch, it's just going to tase you to go to bed. It's like, no, you're done. It's done.
And you'll go right to sleep. And it also has a gentle wake in the morning. So when it actually goes off, it's a lot more soothing. It pulls you out slowly, which is what I actually like in the morning.
Did you figure out how to just touch it to stop it from the alarm? That was one of your first issues, that you had to find the stop alarm button.
Yeah, well, and that was much more of an issue when suddenly the alarm was full blast volume. And I'm like, how do I turn it off? And I couldn't figure it out. With the slower alarm, I'm just happier to find the button. It's not as big as I would like, but whatever. It's it wasn't as big of a deal. Outside of Apple's apps, actually, and I realize Audible is a sponsor, but I actually really like their iOS app better than I like the Android app.
Really?
Mainly because on Android, when you go shopping in the app, it's like a layer of a browser. It's like the browser has been embedded into the app, and so you have things that kind of take a while to load, and then they appear slowly or whatever. In iOS, it's all integrated. If you go Discover.
So you can put these side by side. So here's the Android version of Audible.
Yeah, and so in the Android version of Audible, if I go shopping, unless they've changed it, that looks better. It used to be really kind of slow loading. Yeah, okay, so that looks like a web page, right? Like it's loading kind of like a web page layer on it. In the Apple version, it looks way more platform specific. Things are laid out a lot more like an app, a native app, instead of an imported browser. It's not the end of the world, but,
No, but
it's just something
that's
I noticed.
very Apple. Apple is all about experience, and yeah, that little hesitation.
Yeah.
You notice that.
Yep. Evernote is an app I use all the time. It's I use it for notes like iPhone 10, Apple Watch thoughts, but also music recording, laying down ideas, song ideas with voice dictation or voice record rather. And I find that recordings on the Evernote app on iOS are super clear. They're higher res. And anything that I record in the Evernote app on Android sound very low bit rate. And maybe it's a setting that I've missed all along. But if I have, it's going to be one of the first things I check out when I go back over. But it's just been a game changer for me because then some of those ideas, when it's low bit rate like that, I go to listen to them later. I'm like, what was I doing there? I can hardly even hear it. So I like that. LastPass, I would say is on apps I particularly liked and also apps I didn't like as much, which I'll talk about in a second. But LastPass, I won't open it because it's all my passwords, but its integration with Face ID is actually really nice. It has Face ID as the security feature for accessing your password, and Face ID is really nice. It's a nice feature, so it's nice to have that. On the side of I don't care much for LastPass on iOS, it's really similar to last year's kind of complaint, the integration around copying your ID and your password in between apps, not nearly as seamless as it is on Android, where it's literally integrated into the OS. Oreo just had an update where they expanded autofill functionality for password managers. So it's baked into the OS, and it's just a lot easier there than it is on iOS.
And that's something that Apple could fix if they were to, say, buy LastPass and then put it into the kernel. But
Does Apple have its own password manager in iOS?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, they wouldn't even need to buy LastPass. They already have it. Apps I haven't liked as much. Chromecast. Well, and that's not really an app.
Yeah.
That's not really an app, but I've been using YouTube TV a lot in order to watch the Olympics at home. And we have a Chromecast. Sometimes Days of Our Lives, maybe, when it's on. Anyways, I found that iOS just doesn't work with the Chromecast as well as Android, and I've been struggling to figure out if it's my home network or if it's actually the iOS the iOS Chromecast synergy, because I'm trying to skip forward through commercials on the Olympics on the iPhone, and it might stay connected for 5, 7, 10 minutes, and then suddenly it just it forgets what it's doing and it disconnects from the Chromecast, and if I want to reconnect, sometimes I have to totally do a full system reboot, and then when it comes back up, it can play again, versus just grabbing my wife's phone and it works. To be fair to
iOS, though, I have the same problem when I'm using something like a OnePlus One, which is not pure Android.
Yeah.
Where it's fine, it works great until I make a change. Like I scrub through a timeline and then my disconnect, and then the only way to reconnect is to reboot the phone.
Oh, and that's so frustrating. You just don't want to have to do that when you're watching something, especially when a commercial break is like a minute long. You spend that entire actual minute rebooting your phone. It's like, why am I here?
Some people support themselves through advertised content.
And it's a good thing, actually, right? No, but I've figured this out because at my parents' house, I had set up a Chromecast, and it works great for my dad, who uses a Samsung phone. My mom, she's iPhone and has an iPad, and it kind of worked, but she would always call me up and say, "I'm watching something," and it just disconnected. And so we finally just got an Apple TV. And the iDevices connect to the Apple TV, and the Android devices connect to the Chromecast. And I know that they should work across platforms, but they don't.
Yeah, we have an Android TV, and I got frustrated with the way it worked with iPhones and iPads, and we got an Apple TV.
Right?
Like it does work, but it's not seamless unless it's the platform-specific version of whatever that is.
Which is kind of annoying because they're really using the same protocols and the same technologies. They should work.
Yeah.
Okay, that's rant.
Google app, I don't need to show it off, but basically two-factor authentication on Android is really, it's very integrated. Obviously, it's Google's app, and Android is like an extension of Google's services, right? So when I hit a site or I go to log into my Google account on a laptop, at the OS level, I get a pop-up that goes over the top of everything and says, this computer wants to log in. Do you allow it? And
Right.
I hit yes.
I love that part.
On iOS, I actually, I have to jump into the Google app. Sometimes when I jump into the Google app, it doesn't recognize that two-factor authentication request has been sent yet, and I have to resend it. Or sometimes it will appear automatically, which isn't the end of the world. It's like an extra step, but it's more integrated on Android, and it's something I do all the time, so I notice it.
And the thing is, all three of us are using the Google ecosystem regularly and on different computers. And so that is one of my favorite features about using Android, that pop-up of, oh yeah, there's a new device that wants access. Do you want to grant it? And I say, yes, it's more secure and it's easy. That extra step, it kind of breaks the magic.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's only one extra step. Like, really, when it boils down to it, it's like one of those first world problems or sort of things. But it's the cumulative effect. Like, it's something I do every single day, very regularly, and every time having to do it, it just kind of adds up. And
we are talking about the difference between iOS and Android. This is all first world problems.
That's true. That's a very good point. Very good point. And speaking of, the Google Drive app, a feature I use all the time on Android is you use the camera to scan a document, which is more than just taking a picture of a document. It's a scan feature, and you can scan directly to your Drive box. I do it to scan receipts. So you use that feature to scan the receipt, and then it'll automatically crop, and it'll determine the right kind of image processing based on what you have. So it doesn't end up looking like a photo. It actually looks like you scanned it. I use it all the time. That's missing on iOS, and I don't understand why. Like, there's a way to take a picture in Drive, but there is no way to scan, and I don't know why. I don't know why Google would leave that out. Maybe leave some special sauce for their own platform or something. I'm not sure.
I think they're leaving it out specifically because you're complaining about it not being on iOS. I mean, let's be honest. There's no technical reason why they couldn't include it.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No.
Unless there's some access to the camera that Apple isn't giving to Google. That is required.
I don't know. I feel like it's all post-processing, right? It's all take a picture and then post-process / analyzing it to determine what type of a document it is.
Well, I think I can't remember. I did a beta of it that they said was also using the depth sensor, because then they can correct for skew and they can correct for
There's a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had to bet, I would say it was Apple preventing Google from doing it, Google not pulling back. I don't think that's the one reason people would buy an Android phone.
No.
And I do think that they want their products everywhere because they want you to be able to have your scanned documents. I mean,
Yeah, it was weird. It was a very particular thing that I noticed, only because I do it semi-regularly, and a lot of other people probably never even knew that scan document feature in Drive existed. But I love it. App and then more often than not, I would say the apps that I use between Android and iOS are almost so identical that it's not even worth talking about. Inbox, Twitter, Allo. I mean, there were a number of apps that they're very much the same.
Which is where we want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, all the popular apps should be on all platforms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing.
What about socially? Did you feel like you were welcomed into certain clubs? Like, did you have to not wait in line because you were having the iPhone
pull it out,
10?
flash it at the end of the line? They're like, oh,
TSA
up here, sir.
pre-check was there. Did you get tables at restaurants you couldn't get earlier?
Yeah, that was because of the watch.
Okay.
I think I'm actually going to get the watch, even though it doesn't work with Android, just to wear it for that top-notch service that I get when I walk into a
we
store.
got.
It kind of looks like an Apple Watch.
Yeah, I've got it too.
Right? Even though it's not iOS and it's not Android.
And I can't get the thing to it's just so. But the battery life on
It's
this.
amazing.
This is
It's
why
amazing,
I'm wearing
right?
this and not the Android
A month
watches.
long.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
yeah.
Wow.
You can have this when I get my Apple Watch
Now,
back.
were you ever stopped by a bouncer and you pulled out your phone and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Oh, you have an iPhone."
Stop to what?
Yeah.
Were you ever stopped by a bouncer?
Getting
Oh, a
into
bouncer.
clubs.
Oh, all those clubs that
when
I
you're
go
all up in the
to.
club, Jason.
Man, when I'm into club,
I didn't realize you had a
there's
tab,
nothing
sir.
better.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, that never happened. And then little bits of randomness. Yes, do not disturb while driving is awesome.
Yes.
I do it on Android with an app called Agent.
Oh.
And it kind of, I don't know if it's as deeply integrated though, as far as cutting off access completely. The iOS version of that is really good at just being like, nope, can't do anything. You cannot do anything. And if you want to do something, you actually have to explicitly tell it I am not driving, and then it will open it up. And that's like a mind trick, because at that point you're being like, okay, I'm taking this one.
I don't want to lie to my
responsibility
iPhone.
for this. Yeah.
Well, you should have told me about that.
What?
Agent.
Oh, sorry, Agent. You
Agent,
should check it out next
Agent.
time we do this.
Yeah. Well, you guys should try that. Yeah, it's all mind tricks. I know better.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to be alerted while I'm driving. Animojis cool, but because it's so tied into iMessage, I never used it. Like I used it one time.
All right, the two of you.
I thought I would use it more than that.
So we've done the whole switching process. You've gone over some of your apps, some of the things you've liked, some things you don't liked. I think, since I won't be here next year, so I can totally do this and it won't hurt me at all. I think you need to set the rules for the next switch for next year. I mean, is it going to be
on the spot? I know what happens when we do it right on the spot. It ends up being far longer than I thought it was going to be.
Probably not going to be 6 weeks again, right?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not. Whole year.
I will officially apologize for making it 6 weeks. That was unnecessary. We learned everything we needed to learn in 4 weeks.
I would think so.
Does it even need to be 4 weeks, really?
We could try 3 weeks. We don't even have to do it at all next year.
Yeah, I mean, we did it last year. We did it again this year because the iPhone 10 was kind of a big upgrade, and definitely doing some different things in the technology side of things versus the last iPhone that I used. The Pixel 2 XL, I mean, you've even said it's come a long way from last year. Like you liked this one a lot better than the last one. So there were reasons to do it again.
And I mean, who knows what iPhone I'll be using next January or what Android phone you'll be using. So I think there'll be new things. Because, I mean, it wasn't only the Pixel, but Android Oreo, I think, was way improved. There were like a lot of things that were just minor frustrations last year that are gone now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I think we're finally at the spot with Android versus iOS that we were 16, 17 years ago with Apple and Windows, where it's like, they'll do the same thing. You can do the same process.
So what's your preference?
What's your preference? It really comes down to how do you like to work and what device do you want to use. But I mean, there's no obvious.
And what clubs are you going
to?
to?
One,
yeah. Well, in Android, the operating system. The Pixel is less expensive than the iPhone 10, to be sure, but not. I mean, but Android phones in general are way less expensive than iPhones across the board. So that's definitely if you're on a budget, Android makes more sense. It's not like economically superior to buy. Like it's not like, you'll get your money back for sure. No, it's just a taste thing.
So what you're saying, Megan, is that if they're broke, they should go with Android.
I'm saying if you're money conscious,
I don't want to put you there.
it is. There's nothing on an iPhone. There's nothing that makes that phone worth $1,000. Not one thing on there. Absolutely not.
But for example, I bought my mom an iPhone because Android was a little too complicated for her. She didn't use any of the features, and they actually they made it too difficult for her. So I got her an iPhone, and it was just one of these things where that's the strength of the iPhone. It's not as customizable as you would have in an Android phone because the people who use that don't care about any of that. Right? I mean, am I wrong on that one?
No, I think you're absolutely right. There is a section, subsection of people that actually care about those deeply integrated features and tweaking it and getting it all set up right. And then there's people that just want to use the phone. Yeah. I've had a general sense, and I've mentioned it many times, a general sense of boredom on iOS because I am someone that, I don't know, I like to take ownership of my device a little bit more. And I don't know if I'm necessarily explicitly doing it like every day I'm sitting down and tweaking my phone. But there's just a mentality that comes along with using Android where once you realize you can do that, you feel a little bit more free to do that. Right. And on iOS, I just kind of felt like I was just using a phone. Like, but it did things really well. Like it did the main things that you would want a phone to do very well. I was just kind of a little uninspired.
So Jason, what you're saying is the problem with iOS is that it's perfect, so it never changes.
Well, that's one way to put it, I suppose.
I mean, I think there's no shame in wanting an iPhone or wanting an Android just because it's what you want. And, if it's what you can afford. I mean, I like living in California. There are lots of other places to live where my mortgage would be less than half what it is now. You know, there's no, and also one thing that I kept going back to in this whole process, it's just a phone.
Yeah,
and fetishizing these devices is not part of the solution to any of our problems. And I mean, that's something that I've been looking at. Like, I want to spend less time with this thing, whether it's an Android phone or an iPhone. Like, I want to be looking around more. I want it to be working for me, not me like feeling like I'm tied to it and addicted to it in any way. And same goes for kids who, to be honest, even Jason's kids, they all want iPhones. And, there's... that's it's something. It's the brand consciousness is not necessarily a good thing. It's fine for adults, whatever. But I worry when I see that all kids feel like they need to have this phone.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
completely agree.
In a couple of hours, you will be back to normal. You can go back to your Android. You can go back to your iOS, and the world will be.
It's not much longer. I'll have you soon enough. No.
Okay, before we go, I did want to. There was one product that we had a couple of weeks ago when Jason and I were doing the last episode of our little quadcopter build that we kind of cut short because we ran out of time, and I did want to bring it out. And it makes sense because this works on both Android and iOS. Although I will say it works better on iOS. Go figure. I've used this with several different phones. This is the Rova. Get it, Rova. It's a selfie drone by the IoT group. And Megan, if you could hold this in your camera. The whole idea is to take a drone and put it into a cage so that no one will get killed. It's
Those little blades aren't killing anybody.
They're not. I mean, okay, you can stick your fingers in there, but then that means there's something wrong with you. This thing, it's operated by a 1,200 milliamp hour battery. They give you two of them in the box so that you can go basically between 6 and 10 minutes per charge. It's got a 16 gigabyte SD card. It's got cameras on the front and in the back, plus a tiltable camera right there, so that you can take selfies, either overhead selfies or forward-looking selfies. It also does collision avoidance. There's actually sensors on all four sides and on the bottom. If you turn it over, right, where is that thing? There's actually an ultrasonic sensor so that it kind of keeps the right distance from the ground, which is kind of cool. It's also got it's Wi-Fi controlled, so the lag is kind of not great. I don't like that. I really like controller based, but this is designed to be carried in a bag, a backpack, a purse, whatever it might be, and then you fly it. So here's how it works. I'm going to go ahead and put the battery in here correctly. There we go. Now, see, this thing is powered on, but it actually will not spin up until I turn it on. So the electronics are turned on, and then on my phone, I have the ability to connect to it. So it looks like a hotspot called Rova. And again, I think this is why it works better on iOS, because iOS is better about sort of decluttering its traffic. Now, this is connected.
How light is that?
Oh, here you go.
Is it pretty?
It's not. Really it's light. Actually really, really light.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's big, but it's light. So it's designed to be facing you. So I'm going to turn it this way. And now that I'm connected, I'm going to go ahead and engage.
Engage.
Okay, so that little red button I just pressed, it's now lit up. And let's see if this is actually going to work. This has only crashed like 4 or 5 times, and it's only hurt people maybe once.
It's 9.52
20% of the time it hurts people.
9.52 ounces. That's not bad.
9.52 ounces.
Okay, so if you go here, there you go. So I'm going to go for launch.
Okay.
It will connect.
Connect.
And what it will do is it will give me a view out of the front-facing camera. And because this is supposed to be a selfie drone, by default, the front, it's supposed to be pointing towards you. So go ahead and go to the wide view. There we go. So if, I'm going to turn on avoidance. Okay. If this is done right, I should be able to press one button and it will take off. Please, don't be kind.
I will protect myself with the Rova wall.
Take off. Take off.
Oh,
it's thinking.
It did a little spin there. Whoa.
Ah! Come back. Come back. Come back. No. No, stop. Stop. Okay, this is the lag I'm talking about. So the command input is not great.
Okay.
Hey,
wow.
You can go to the side view here.
Yeah, there is a little bit of lag there. That's got to be a little... Gonna give you a haircut.
So if I do that...
Oh, that's its collision.
Right, so I'm going to get it close to you, Megan.
Okay.
Here it goes.
No. What are you doing?
That was good. You avoided that camera. Good job, Padre.
Okay, it's now going into a wall.
Well, you haven't hit anything yet. That's good. Collision avoidance is working.
Okay. See, this is the lag problem is such an issue here. I'm going to land it.
And is that because of the smartphone control aspect, sending that
Yeah,
via the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be lag anytime you're going over Wi-Fi.
Right.
Because there's a transmission layer that it needs to communicate over. And
Right.
so if it's not being handled super fast on the phone, there's just a little bit of lag between control and actuality on the drone.
And when you're trying
that's
to
an issue.
prevent something from colliding or wrecking, that's not a good thing to have.
Right. And the other issue that I find with the controls here is if you go to this right here, it's designed to be flown backwards. So when I was teaching you, we were always nose out, right?
Yeah.
You always had it facing away from you. This was designed to be flown facing in. And so I keep finding myself doing this. I hit reverse controls because otherwise it keeps flying backwards from what I expected. Now, if you've never flown a drone, that's not a problem. But if you have, you're going to be going mad because it's always going to be doing the opposite of what you want
Yeah,
to
you
do.
got to undo your legacy knowledge.
Now, I will say, even for that, it's still kind of a cool device. And if you go to the link there, Alex, it's only $150. So this is not an expensive drone. And the
$140
camera
right now.
is actually pretty dang good. It's got a downward-facing and forward-facing 12 megapixel, 5 megapixel. So if you're looking to do a group shot where you rise above everybody, this is actually a really good way to do it. Now, they say it's not supposed to be flown outdoors. Oh, Jason's going to crash into our guest. Wait, try it, Jason. Go
I
ahead.
don't know. I'm afraid.
Come on, Jason.
Keep talking.
There we go. There we go.
You're going to try to pick up the...
I don't think I know how to do this.
Your pixel will be on top of the drone.
So, I mean, would you recommend this over like one of the SEMA drones that you've always recommended that are like
No,
$30?
absolutely not. Because
Oh, sorry.
sorry, little drone. The SEMA drones are trainer drones. This is not a trainer drone. This will not teach you how to fly. But I mean, the camera on this there's no comparison between it and the SEMA. The SEMA is a horrible, horrible camera. This actually, if you want to take a good picture, this will give you a nice, solid picture. And it will give you the ability to change the angle of the camera. So it does have utility. It's not the drone I would choose to either learn how to fly or to fly for fun. But if you literally just want to have a camera that you can take out of your bag, have it go up 20 feet and take a picture of the group, this is perfect.
Nice.
Do you need to register this kind of drone?
No, actually, this is light enough where it slides right underneath the FAA regulations on weight. So there you go.
Nice.
Again, that is the ROVA, R-O-V-A, selfie drone by IoT Group. I'm going to play with it a little bit more and see if I can get some responsiveness. I think I will go back to iOS because it does control better. And supposedly, there is a way to control this with like an actual controller. And if there is, then it might be far more flyable.
That'd be the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. Well, let's close up now. I mean, I know this was a lot. Do you want to offer any final words about your Switch experience?
No.
For final words on our Twit Switch experience, make sure and check out Tech News Weekly.
Yes.
This episode where we will
Yes.
wrap things up with a pretty bow.
And they're actually going to hand their devices back to one another.
Yes.
We realized that this was a lot of information, and we want to make it easier for you to track it. If you're looking for the apps that either Megan or Jason took a look at, if you want their list of pros and cons, you're always going to find it at our show notes, which you can find at twit.tv/KH. That's KH for know-how. That's kind of brilliant like that. That's got all of our back episodes as well as the all-important subscribe button. You can get the version of your choice, an audio version, a video version, or a high-definition video version automatically delivered into your device of choice. But more importantly, it supports the show. If you want to see more topics like this, if you want to see more DIY and maker content, if you want to see us blow stuff up and possibly break a bunch of drones, again, twit.tv/KH. Also, don't forget that we've got socials. We do the social stuff specifically on Google+. Just go to Google+, look for know-how. Ask to join. It's a very short approval process so I can keep out all the spam accounts. But once you're in, you get access to almost 12,000 Kitas. Those are our know-it-alls. People who can ask questions, answer questions, and hopefully post pictures and videos of their projects so that we can show them off here at Know-How. There's nothing that makes us more proud than to see people take the knowledge we give them and do something wonderful with it. So please, again, go to Google+, look for Know-How. Also, we've all got our own the tweets things. We do the tweets. We're so into the tweets. Megan, where are you tweeting?
I am tweeting at Megan Maroney.
And you're tweeting?
At Jason Howell.
And you're going to find me
Self-explanatory.
at Padre SJ. Also, we've got a third member of, actually, this time it would be a fourth member of our group. He's not a poop Animoji. We call him Sunshine. You can find Sunshine at twitter.com/ANELF3.
Excuse me, Padre. It's pronounced Alex.
It sounds like Sunshine.
Can I go home yet, Megan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought you already went home.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm back.
Megan, Jason, this has been an absolute pleasure. We're going to do a couple more of these because, we like doing stuff like this. But until next time, I'm Father Robert Balacer.
I'm Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And now that you know how, go switch.